Hi everyone, I'm going to look at the game that decided the recently completed Prague Masters. It was the first tie-break game between Santosh Vidit and Alizera Firouzja, the up-and-coming star in the chess world, sort of 16 years of age. And coming into the last round, the standings were like this. Vidit was half a point clear on 5 with Vichigov, Firouzja and Anton half behind him. And then the pairings for the last round. Unfortunately for Vidit, he was beaten by Jan-Krzysztof Duda, who himself caught up with Vidit, so they're now on 5. Anton and Firouzja also drew. They were the last game to finish. And that 2 more players on 5 points, and finally Shankland completed a successful last few rounds of the tournament for him. He beat Vichigov, so he's now up to 5 points also. So we had this big bunch of 5 players in equal first place. And the rules were that the top 2 on tiebreak go into the playoff, only the top 2, which as it turned out was Vidit. So he still gets a chance to redeem himself because he managed to lose his last 2 games, which was unfortunate for him. But Firouzja, I don't think he could quite believe his luck. I don't think he realised that his final round draw would give him the playoff opportunity. So let's go and have a look at the game. And in the first playoff game, Vidit had the white pieces. And it's 5 minutes plus 3 second increment, I believe. So it was d4, knight f6, c4 from Vidit, e6, knight f3, d5, g3. So it's sort of we have a Catalan. And bishop b4 check, bishop d2, bishop back to e7. So we've got one of the main lines. Bishop to g2, castles, c6, and now queen c2. So this is all sort of standard stuff. Knight to d7, b3, b6, intending to develop the bishop on b7, bishop c3, bishop to b7, knight bd2, so both sides just sort of completing development. Now Firouzja played queen c7. So rather than sort of immediate e4, but it carried on building up with rook fd1, c5. So immediately Firouzja goes for sort of activity straight away, sort of like contact between the 2 sides' forces, and it's sort of quite a sort of typical way for him to play. He seems to enjoy it when you have to start calculating variations. Rook c1, d takes c4, knight takes c4, and now b5. Bishop to a5. So now the queen needs to find itself a comfortable retreat square, so he tucks it back on b8. And now knight e5. So the knights were exchanged, d5, and then the knight occupies a strong square in the centre. So he's not too concerned about e4 because it sort of blocks the queen's diagonal up to the h7 square and also blocks in the bishop. So he's not too concerned about that. Now Vidit brought his bishop back to d2, and now knight g5 may be the move that he's concerned about, Firouzja. So he played h6, and now Vidit made his intentions clear with a sort of exciting move g4. So he's perhaps intending to go g5 straight away and attack, because black seems to have, not so many defenders over there. So Firouzja immediately did something about that and brought his queen over to e8, and then Vidit carried on with h4. So I think by this point they were both had about 2 minutes left, because let's remember this is a blitz playoff. And now f5, immediately deciding to, sort of bring the queen open up this diagonal for the queen so it can help to defend over there. E takes f6, knight f6, and now he pressed on with g5 did Vidit. Firouzja brought his bishop into the center of the board with gain of tempo. So sidestep with queen b2, and now knight g4. So it's not really ever so clear, who this may be good for, because the action seems to be taking place over here on the king side, and if anything, it's sort of maybe more dangerous for white this situation, because the black queen has got much easier access to the king side than white's queen. So bishop to c3, and now Firouzja continued the build-up, so he's now protecting the g7 square, which was attacked. He's now guarding this and also adding pressure onto the g5 square. So rook to d7, rook f7, and now queen d2, bringing the queen nearer to where the action really is. H takes g5, hg5, and now Firouzja played queen h5. It turns out in this position that there is a stronger move. I'm not going to analyse the moves in too much detail, because after all it's a blitz game and they're only down to about 2 minutes here. But it turns out, I'll just show one or two lines, that this was a very strong move. White has a choice of 2 captures. This one doesn't really work out, because immediately bishop takes g5 is strong straight away, and then we can pick off the rook, winning an exchange. And after bishop f3, then black can play queen h5, intending check and then mate, which white has to do something about. So you can try and run away with the king to f1, but then queen h2 is strong, because now we can't take this because mate on f2. So if we cover the pawn with this, then black can just build up with rook f8. And for example, if white were to play here, there is no way to get out of this situation, then black can play immediately, crushing knight e3, check, fe3, rook f3, ef3, rook f3, and then checkmate. Next move, queen f2. So that would have been stronger, but like I said, it's a blitz game, and Alizera played queen h5. And now Vidit played a good reply, rook e7. Now he gets his queen into the game, not only attacking the rook, but also covering the h2 square. So played rook back to f7, and now queen takes e6, attacking the bishop and keeping the rook pinned. Firouzja played bishop to f5, queen c6, and again rook attacks the queen with tempo. Queen to d5, keeping the pin on the rook. So now Firouzja played here, which means he might be able to go here and pinning, and then perhaps play rook f3 and see if he can cause some damage down here. So for queen to c6, and now rook e2. Now the good move, rook d1, intending to play the rook down. Now Firouzja played rook takes f2, rook d8 check, and now king h7. And in this position, Vidit, who's by now playing on increment, whereas Firouzja had probably about 40 seconds. I can't recall exactly 40 seconds, maybe a minute. But it turns out instead of this, which looks very good, but it turns out this. So again, I'll just quickly show a line. This would have been good for white, as it turns out. It's a very tactical double-edged position, and anything can happen when you're short of time. It turns out that rook g2 doesn't work after here. Knight e3, white can play king f2, and now there's nothing black can do about this sort of threat to come to h8 with the rook. If you play knight d1, it just unfortunately this check doesn't work because the rook can take it. And if you go knight to g4, this time white can play here quite safely. There's no more checks. This is sort of covered by the knight, and again rook h8 will win for white. But as I said, for Vidit was very short of time. He played queen e8, and now rook f3. So now we enter a sort of forced sequence where the queens come off because the players are blitzing this out. Queen h8 check, king g6, queen h5 check, king h5, and now regain the rook, and now king takes g5. So it looks good for black on the surface. You've got the two bishops and also two pawns. So let's see what happened. He played rook to d5 and then king f4. So Firouzja, by this point, although he's slightly ahead on the clock, he was sort of blitzing out the moves, really playing really quickly, though he was short of time. And Vidit played bishop takes g4. Hoping to trust in the opposite colour bishops. Good decision. King g4, and now rook takes c5, hitting the b5 pawn. Bishop to d3 from Alizera. Bishop d2, king f3. Again, played in all this very quickly. Rook e5, bishop e4. And in this position, okay, it's a blitz game and he's short of time, but he played rook b5. And now Firouzja again almost straight away found the way to win the position with rook d7. And after bishop b4, he played rook d1 check, king h2. Again, he instantly played king g4. And here there's no there's no reasonable way to stop this. It turns out that amazingly he's caught Vidit's king, Santosh Vidit's king in a mating net over here. And he, as I said, Firouzja played all these moves very quickly, the last few moves, which was sort of pretty impressive, to put it mildly, to watch him play so well. He really is strong in blitz play. So there we are. So in the position with no answer to rook h1, Vidit resigned, and so that was game one of the playoff. Then they played another game with Firouzja white, of course, and he went for a c3 Sicilian, sort of kept it very solid. Although I think he was slightly worse for most of it, he held it reasonably comfortably in the end. So, and that was that. There were just two playoff games, and he completed a memorable victory for him in the Prague Masters. So it looks like we've got a real new star in the chess world. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did enjoy it, thumbs up would be lovely, and or even subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye now.